Hey guys, my name is Aijalonwallace. I'm the Nomad Recruiter. I travel the world, make places for a living. If you're thinking about starting a staffing or recruiting agency, I do have a website and a coaching program where I help students scale their agencies to 6 or 7 figures. You can check out the website at nomadrecruiters.com. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you love this content. I'm one of the #1 content creators on YouTube for recruiting and traveling content, as I'm trying to constantly grow the channel and help a lot of people get their agency off the ground and also travel the world more, because life is short. Listen, today we're going to be talking about how you can make $10,000 a month starting your staffing agency. And for the most part, I want to talk to you guys about the basics and some of the things that you're going to need to get your agency off the ground, for the most part. Okay, so going into it, a lot of people need to start doing more research into what is the best licenses to have when they're getting their agency off the ground. So should you have an LLC? Should you have an S Corp? Because you're gonna want to know what type of things you could write off from a tax standpoint in the future once you get your staffing agency off the ground. Now, the thing about staffing, there's various niches in the staffing space. You have healthcare staffing, which is probably the most popular. You have, of course, insurance agencies, so anywhere you have your LPNs or your LVNs, you have a lot of contract positions. There's a lot of different niches out there when it comes to staffing. I think sometimes people just assume that staffing often only refers to healthcare, and there's so many roles. Even within IT, there are staffing roles as well at the end of the day. Now, when I do talk to people about starting their staffing agency, a lot of people don't understand the difference between staffing and recruiting. Recruiting often is referred to full-time direct hire roles. So these are like one-off deals when you place a candidate to a job and you can walk away from it, you get a paycheck. But staffing is ongoing. So contracts often are 6 to 12 months, 12 months to a year for the most part. But it is a business that's not built around loyalty, because people do constantly keep jumping from contract to contract at the end of the day as well. So it's important to understand how to have control when starting your agency, and most importantly, qualifying your candidates, in a really good way. How do you qualify your candidates for the most part? So listen, when you guys are getting your agency off the ground, when you're talking to people in the staffing space, you want to try to understand what the current situation is. Legally, you can't really ask somebody how much they make, but often you can kind of find creative ways to get that information. And you want to negotiate with them with a rate for the most part, but you want to understand you want to look at their resume, you want to look at their longevity. Are they staying in their contract roles longer than 6 or 12 months? If they're jumping every 3 months, every 6 months, that's not a contract that you want for the most part, because you have to think about all the money that you're going to spend on advertisements, all the money you're going to spend, trying to, you're going to interview people, all the time, the sweat equity. You're not going to get that back. So you want to try to pick contractors with consistency and long and good tenure in at least stand minimum 8 to 12 months. You don't want no hoppers at the end of the day. And I'm trying to tell you this now, because if you hire 3 or 4 contractors and 2 or 3 leaves, now you have to go back to the market and try to find someone that was just as good. Everybody that's works in contracting, any niche, healthcare, sales, everyone's not going to be a good hire. I think sometimes as well, when people are looking to start their staffing agency, they just assume that, all right, I'm going to do healthcare and every nurse I talk to is going to get hired. No, some people are really bad at interviewing. Some people don't have good synergy. They're not a good culture fit at the end of the day. And a lot of candidates lie sometimes as well, just to get jobs. I have candidates lie to me in the past. They didn't tell me about their DUIs or, their alcoholic records, and so many other things, once I did a background check on them at the end of the day. So you have to understand, how to make sure that the qualified candidates, and making sure you're hiring quality candidates as well. It's not just about getting as many contracts as you need, but you want people who are going to stay in the role. You want to get a website as well. So if you're specialized in staffing, you want to put staffing on your website, and you want to break down what type of staffing you're doing. You want to break down your services on your website, your contact information, any blogs as well. You can use websites like Fiverr or Upwork to get someone to try to write healthcare blogs for you. And there's a lot of chat. You can use like AI tools like ChatGPT to generate articles for you so you can stay consistent. If you are looking to start a staffing agency, it will require a lot of time. So it is important that you do think about how you're going to utilize your time. Is it best for you to get a virtual assistant to help you out, or bring on a partner or a friend to help you out with the business? Are you going to be willing to put time in to the company as well? Meaning when you wake up in the morning, after work, on your lunch break, on the weekends as well. It takes time. This is not a get rich quick business at the end of the day. Even with staffing, it's the same as recruiting. It takes time, for the most part, to usually land your first deal. Now, in the staffing space, you see rates anywhere from $50 to $100, sometimes $200, $300, depending on the senior level ship of the role. For the most part, you negotiate a rate with your candidate, and at the end of the day, and you make money every time they go to work. It's champagne recruiting, and people don't realize this. Often a lot of people look down on recruiters. And for the way, guys, if you don't know, I'm a 360 recruiter. A 360 recruiter is someone that specializes in finding clients and finding candidates. You're doing a full recruitment cycle. 180s usually focus on sourcing, and account management. And then, you have people who are HR internal. So people who work for like Amazon, Google, Facebook. These are people that mostly just do a lot of HR and admin work. They're not doing as much hard recruiting as people at recruiting agencies sometimes. And I say this to say, not to look down upon HR, not to look down upon talent acquisition. They do work really hard, but depending on, I'm referring to coaches out there. There are a lot of coaches that are trying to teach people how to start a recruiting agency, and they never work for a recruiting agency. They work for an internal company as an HR and admin person. Those are completely two different people at the end of the day. So, that's like sending a poodle and a wolf out to go hunt for you. What do you think the wolf's going to bring you back compared to the poodle? So it's just, it's very, it's just two different people at the end of the day if they don't come from an agency background. So that's why I try to explain it to a lot of people who are not familiar with it at the end of the day. Guys, I would strongly advise you as well to look into some software too. So a good software platform is Swordfish.ai. This is a platform where you can collect names and numbers, and you have True People Search, which is a free platform as well for the most part. And it's similar platforms because I do have students from London, UK, Australia, Czech Republic, Chile, Nigeria. I have so many students all over in my program at the end of the day. So sometimes the platforms may have different names, but the strategies and the content and everything is universal for the most part. Hard work at the end of the day. We are working in an industry where we are selling a product that has a voice, okay? Like, I'm not here, there's no Lambos, there's no Manchester. I'm not here to teach you how to be a millionaire. I'm not here to teach you how to be rich. I'm not Tony Robinson at the end of the day. I'm here to teach you how to be free. And I live a life of freedom with my agency where I usually work 1 month on, 1 month off, 2 months on, 2 months off. But at the moment, we have an overwhelming amount of calls coming in. So we are speaking to a lot of people and helping them get their agency off the ground. Once again, I do have real testimonials and real names. And I say this to say because I know a lot of people out there don't provide you with real names and real people. Sometimes they don't even provide names as well. So do your research when you are looking for a potential coach or mentor when you're trying to get your agency off the ground. For a lot of people watching this video, you've probably been thinking about taking action for the last 2 to 3 years or at the end of the day, but just do it. Because we don't know what's going to come, if another pandemic is going to come again, which most likely is looking like it with everything that's going back on in the States and around the world at the moment. But you just want to ask yourself, if not when, if not now, when is one of the questions you have to ask yourself. And if you want to lose your job, what would you do? Do you want to be financially independent on yourself or on your company, your boss at the end of the day? Especially if you have a family and you're providing for that family, you want to always have control over your freedom and what you're doing to provide for your family at the end of the day. Just take action. Even if it's not my program, join somebody's program. But I would advise you to get a coach if you are not someone that has a lot of business development, because you need to focus on the strategy is finding clients. If you don't know how to find clients, nothing else matters. I don't care about your website. I don't care about your LLC. I don't care about your LinkedIn license. I don't care about anything. If you don't know how to find clients, none of it matters. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. for the most part. Good good ATS platforms. You have so many from your Salesforce, HubSpot, Monday, Lever, Loxo. There's so many platforms out there at the end of the day, but you don't really need these platforms until you really start getting a large amount of candidates and clients to start coming in to assist you for the most part as well. Now, when it comes to staffing, I try to explain to people, staffing, you don't really see much money until you get to that 10th or 20th contractor. So it takes time to build up that contracting book. And you also have to manage your candidate. So when you get your first hire, you need to be calling in on a weekly, bi-weekly basis with your candidate. You need to be making sure everything's all right. Client could be an asshole. Things that were promised probably was, probably is not actually happening for that candidate. There's a lot of things that you have to factor in for the most part. And you do need licenses and insurances to, depending on the type of staffing that you get into, because you are responsible for that candidate if they're working under a staffing contract under your agency, versus with full-time direct hire, it's a one and done deal. You'll make anywhere from $10, $20, even $40,000 for a one-time placement, and you walk away free and clear. Often we do have a guarantee, and a guarantee is what we guarantee the client that the candidate that we place in their job is going to stay there for the next 30, 60, 90 days. I try to stress to my students in my program, usually at a minimum 90 days is I really don't recommend it, but at a minimum 90 days, the minimum is 30 days, but the maximum I try to say is 90. 6 months is just pushing it, man. It's pushing it, because recruitment is all about control. And if we put a candidate into a client's company, and the manager is bullying them, or stuff that was promised is not happening, we cannot control a candidate's emotions and how they feel over that span of 6 months. And it doesn't make sense to put ourselves in that situation. When you make your first deal, be wise about your money, because like I said, we do offer that guarantee, and you may have to pay back your client or potentially go back to the market and find another candidate, which you can negotiate in your contract for the most part as well. Understand and learn how to source. If you know how to source quality people, it's going to make your life much more easier, especially when they go to have an interview with your client. And most importantly, make sure you're coaching your candidate as well. If you have experience in this space, you want to make sure you're guiding them and helping them out for the most part as well. Listen, if you like this content, I need you to hit that button, subscribe to the channel, support your boy. If you love this content, I'm constantly making content for recruiters and people in the staffing industry. One of the #1 content creators on YouTube, and I'm making a lot of travel videos as well. You can check out the website at nomadrecruiters.com. Check out my free ebook as well. If you want to book a call and get your agency started today, hit the links below, and I can't wait to see you soon. Thanks.